Hi everyone, my name's Ed Ben and I'm going to give you a quick tour of the characterization studies we've been doing as part of this study-a-thon. So I thought I'd just take a few slides first to kind of talk about the fundamental approach to thinking about characterization in OHDSI. So the starting point is these cohorts, as we've heard, and really these cohorts are a set of persons who satisfy some set of inclusion criteria for a duration of time, and that's really the fundamental building block of, as we've just heard, of going forward and doing the characterization. Next slide, please. So we can kind of, at least for this study-a-thon, we've thought of these cohorts in terms of two ways. So we've got our target cohort and we want to characterize two different things. The first is their features at baseline. What are the characteristics of these individuals? And then we can use tools such as feature extraction to do that. So one of the big benefits of having kind of the whole OHDSI network is, compared to some single center studies, for example, is that we often have long history for individuals which we can use to describe their conditions, their medication use prior to this index date of interest. And then the second part is thinking about what happens after this index date. So we've got this date of time that we're interested in, and we want to think about what happens afterwards. And there's probably a wide range of kind of outcomes of interest, whether it's condition occurrences, procedure occurrences, mortality, other types of visits, readmissions, and so on. And so that's kind of the second bucket of characterization that we're looking at. And so we started just a few days ago with this to-do list. And I guess the hardest one was actually kind of really coming up with some clear research questions, and questions that could be answered using OHDSI data, and questions that really kind of lead into the strengths of OHDSI data. So answering those questions that other people just aren't able to do at the moment, and provide some actual useful information to inform current treatment decisions. So the first day and a half, really, we actually spent discussing these research questions before kind of implementing anything, and we came up with three. The first was to characterize adults hospitalized with influenza in 2009 and 2010, characterize adults hospitalized with influenza also in 2014 to 2019, and then do the same for COVID-19 patients in 2019 and 20 and going forward. The second question was the characterizations of individuals tested for COVID-19. So I'm not going to show too many slides on this question because it's still kind of early days in terms of its programming, but this question will be looking at both the population of people being tested in general, and then for those people that test positive, what their outcomes look like. And then the third question, which is, I think, started maybe this morning even, was characterizing the, children with COVID-19, both their testing and their outcomes. So the first step was kind of turning these research questions into protocols. So we've kind of taken the OHDSI framework, and we've really spent quite a lot of time, lots of calls for maybe one or two hours discussing kind of each part of the protocol and really focusing on the question we're trying to answer and the design that will help us to answer that question. So after a couple of days, we've got three protocols pretty much finalized. They're all working versions, but the key components are finalized, and that's allowed us to kind of continue on with our journey and start actually implementing the analysis to answer the questions that we've specified. So to answer these questions, we're developing study packages. This is one example that we've already rolled out. So it's still early days, but this is kind of the initial study package, which is addressing the first part of the research question, which is to describe hospitalized individuals and in terms of their baseline characteristics. And we've just got results. I think in the last half an hour, I've received a deluge of results. So I've been busily putting these slides together last minute. So in terms of adults hospitalized with influenza, well, this is from a large US claims database. And sorry about the small font, but in general, we can see that age groups are different if we compare the 2009 flu cohort to the 2014 to 2019. And then the next slide, we can also see kind of a wide range of comorbidities at baseline. So I've just taken a little snapshot, but we've got a long list to go through and really kind of tease out the important things that need to be summarized and kind of released into the public domain. And then even more recently, maybe in the last 20 minutes, we've had some data coming in on patients that currently have COVID-19. So this is an example from the Columbia University Irving Medical Center and their database that's been mapped to the common data model. So we ran this package and we've included 1,000 individuals that either taking this broad definition that was mentioned earlier. And we can see that the average age was about 67. And I think one notable aspect to see immediately is that the Charleston score is 6. And then we've got a whole wide range of characteristics that we'll be describing for this population and other populations that are captured in the OMOP CDM across the network. And then as well as describing conditions at baseline, we can also describe medications at baseline, both kind of the medications people are on at the moment, and because this cohort, they all have at least 1 year of prior history available in the data, we can go further back and look at prior medication use as well. So that's where we are. We're pushing code out and we're getting results in, and it's kind of the moment where we're kind of digesting what's coming in. So these are kind of very preliminary results that I've been showing, but it just gives a taste of kind of the power of the OHDSI framework, that once all this work has gone into developing a CDM, once all this work has been gone into developing the phenotypes, all the work that's been gone into developing open source software, we can apply these tools quickly once we've come up with really specific, well-defined research questions. So our next steps are kind of improving and extending these study packages, reviewing the results and disseminating the information as quickly as possible.